All right, my friends, welcome here to our final section inside of Strategic Seduction. There's a lot that we have covered here. There's a lot of things that we have discussed. There's a lot of content that you have gone through. We have gone through the overarching theme of Strategic Seduction. We went through communicate message. We went through capture permission. We went through convert mindset. We went through compel action. We went through close commitment to collect cash. And now we're going to summarize this entire game here in a particular course called Strategic Seduction Applied. Okay, which is actually looking at strategic seduction and its application as something far greater than you might imagine. Okay, if we look at strategic seduction and its applications, the piece that we're really going to look at and consider here is that the result is the conversation of money or the conversation of profit, but that's only how it looks inside the conversation of business. And I'm going to have you see that by the time we're done with this particular course, why strategic seduction is actually something that affects all areas of your life, not just the conversation of what you do inside of your business. So let's start off like we have with every single one of our fortune maps here in this course series, and we're going to start off with our problem. Because once you learn the strategic seduction system and you've gathered the containers, you're going to find yourself in a series of problems. And we're going to look at the first one. The first one is you still think a software will save you. Now, here's what I need you to know, okay? This is like completely and absolutely erroneous, right? Your ability to leverage software is going to come down to a very different conversation than what you might imagine. I'm going to actually list out the possibility here with you side by side so that you can see it, because this is not only a lie, but it's also something that if you do believe it, you subscribe to it, you're fucked. Okay, and strategic seduction will not work. There is no software on the planet that is going to save you. So then what is the opposite of the possibility with that? Is that your software supports and accelerates who you are. Okay, so if we look at these two contrasting ideas, problem, you still think software will save you. The possibility, software supports and accelerates who you are. Okay, I want you to look at this. Like, the challenge that we get into is that people will look at software, right, and they'll look at this magical software as an ATM. They think, oh, well, if I just get ClickFunnels, if I just get whatever the tool is, if I get Kajabi, if I get Infusionsoft, if I get Entreport, if I get this software, if I get later and I start to post on Instagram, that somehow the software is going to save me. Like, software is not complicated. What is complicated is the way that you fucking think. So my mission and goal throughout this entire strategic seduction series has been about opening your mind up to see that software supports the psychology of who you are as a marketer. It's not the other way around. Software will not make you anything except for confused, irritated, frustrated, pissed off, and angry if you lack the container. Now, the opposite is true if you don't lack the container. Now, the software doesn't become the ATM. Here in this perspective, software is the ATM, when the reality is, on this side of the equation is the possibility, is that you are the ATM. Now, that's a big contrasting difference. So I love it when people want to still get done with this conversation with me and they still think that they can go get some magical software that's going to show up like Jesus and save them. There is no salvation in software. Like, repeat that shit in your own head. There is no salvation in software. What there is liberation in psychology. And software can do an amazing job at accelerating that liberation that you've already committed to. Let's look at our second problem. So our second issue that we're facing, even though we've gone through the entire series so far, is you think strategic seduction, and I'm just going to put that for SS, just fits in an online system. Okay, so again, because of the first problem, which is software will save me, there is a tendency for people to say, well, that just works online. Strategic seduction doesn't work offline. It's strategic seduction only fits online. Or people will say strategic seduction only fits with coaching, okay, or consulting. No, the furthest thing from it. Most of the strategic seduction that I have implement and deploy has absolutely zero to fucking do with coaching and consulting. Zero. Most of my businesses have nothing to do with that. From the hair industry to what we do in software to what do we do in insurance to what we do in financial services, like has zero to do with it. And yet it's still deployed. And then I have hundreds of case studies across the board with this that have nothing to do with that. So you need to eliminate that as a reality. Then if that is the case, then what becomes the truth? You realize and you come to recognize that strategic seduction is a way of life. Okay, now we have played in this series this idea that you are a marketer. We said, listen, I am a marketer. This is an inarguable fact. We're like, I am a marketer. Okay, and when you are a marketer and when you are a closer and when you are a leader, not a savior, when this becomes your reality, you also start to see that online systems are simply one part of the equation that can be leveraged but are not necessary in order to implement strategic seduction, because strategic seduction is a way of life, which means if there are people involved, strategic seduction is at play, but you're left in one of two places. Either you are being seduced or you are seducing. And that seduction is either leading to a payday in your bank account or a payday in someone else's. Number 3. Third problem. You believe that strategic seduction, there's our SS again, only applies to money. Right? So again, look at these stacking issues. Stacking issues. So people will study this, and I've trained on this for years and years and years, but inside the confines of Wake Up Warrior. And then we expanded that into the hair industry, and then others got to learn this system. And yet there was a large percentage that continued to default. Well, the software is going to save me. No. Well, the strategic seduction just fits into online systems. It has nothing to do with offline. No. And the third piece is you believe that strategic seduction only applies to money. No. So what is our possibility? You apply strategic seduction to everything that you do. So this includes marriage, communicate message, capture permission, convert mindset, compel action, close commitment, collect cash. Cash is a result. Okay, I want to deal with a sex life issue. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with parenting my children. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with an issue with my own self and my body. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with team members and employees. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with clients. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with the landlord. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with my children's kids or my children's teachers at school. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with the HOA. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with the IRS. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with the UPS. Strategic seduction. I want to deal with any human being on the planet for any reason, on any topic, for any subject matter that is delivering up what I want. Guess what? I apply strategic seduction. Problem number 4. Problem number 4. You think strategic seduction only happens once in an exchange. Okay, so you might even not subscribe to the rest of this, and you're like, well, I communicate a message, I capture permission, I convert mindset, I compel action, I close a commitment, I collect cash, and I do it one time and then I'm done. Right? It's like brushing your teeth. I brush my teeth one time, I'm done. Right? I take a shower one time and I'm done. I market for my business one time and I'm done. No. Strategic seduction is not something that only happens once in an exchange. The possibility or the truth of this, you must master the game of stacking frames. Okay, what does this mean? Strategic seduction, if I were to take a person or a prospect, okay, and I move them from point A to point B, and at point A, here they are at point B. At point A was a possibility, and at point B was a payday. Okay, once I hit point B, guess what immediately starts over? Strategic seduction. And now I am moving that prospect to point C, which means my current payday becomes my new possibility, and that possibility is moving towards a future payday with that prospect, and that is never ending. Like, that is never ending. From point A to point B to point C, possibility, payday, payday becomes possibility, possibility moves forward to payday. Now, no matter what's happening, if I seduce my children today, right, I stack seduction on top of seduction, which means I'm always seducing. There's never a time I am not seducing to a bigger future with a person that I'm engaged with. Individuals that connect with me personally at any level, regardless, from surfing to sports to marriage to kids to whatever the topic is, if they're a client or not, here is what people count on with me. There will be a collision in communication. That communication will lead to a permission. That permission will lead to a conversion of mindset. That conversion of mindset will lead to a compelling of action. That compelling of action will lead to a collecting of a yes from me to them, me committing them to do some shit. And in the end, I will close the cash. Now, they may not be a payday in the form of money. My payday may be coming in another form, which is just feeling good. I'm like, awesome, your life is better because you met me. You're moving forward and doing some shit because we're exchanging. That's it. And so we start to see that the prosperity and the wealth of seduction is built in the stacking. Stacking one on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. And this stacking, as it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, the level of commitment by the individual that I am exchanging in this seduction with goes higher and higher and higher. Commitment goes up. What else goes up with that commitment? Trust. What else goes up with that trust? Results. Okay, and in my case, if I were looking at this in the conversation of business, this means that what's happening also is my profit is skyrocketing because it is in direct correlation to the commitment, trust, and results of the prospect as they rise in the stacking of seduction. So let's review real quick our problems and our possibilities here in this first section. 1, you still think a software will save you. Next. Possibility is that software supports and accelerates who you are. You are the ATM, not the software. 2, you think strategic seduction just fits in an online system. You realize strategic seduction is a way of life. Ding, 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 ding. 3, you believe strategic seduction only applies to money. You apply strategic seduction to everything that you do that involves people. And number 4, you think strategic seduction only happens once in an exchange. Number 4, you must master the game of stacking frames of seduction moving people from point A to point C to point or B to C, etc., increasing commitment, trust, results, and ultimately profit. And that brings us to a conclusion here in our problems and possibilities section of Strategic Seduction Applied.